Hello, Martha. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you.
Good,
Thanks
good.
for
Thank you.
having
Oh, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so excited to have this chat with you today. And like you know, our topic of discussion is going to be around like the pillars of a healthy lifestyle, like from sleep to stress. And I know you work a lot with seniors too, so we'll be talking a lot about that too.
me.
So yeah, let's get started. And before we start, I would just like to introduce you to our viewers. So Martha Mcduff, she's a national board certified health and wellness coach. She's also a yoga instructor and a Pilates trainer. And she has her own company as a health coach. And over the years, she's helped a lot of people achieve their health goals and also like rediscover the true health at mind, body, and soul level. So I'm really glad you accepted our invitation to come on the call, and let's get started.
Great. Sounds good.
Has your health discovery journey been? Like, what got you interested into this whole health and wellness area? Because I always ask this question first because I get a lot of interesting answers from everyone.
Yeah.
So I thought, let me check in with you. And I know because initially you were like a full-time educator, right? Before
Yes.
moving
That's great.
into the health and health coaching side of it. So tell us something about that.
Yeah. It's funny when you gave me the questions. I was looking at the question. I was like, oh gosh, because it's such a long story.
Yes.
It's not a straight path whatsoever. But basically, I think my journey really started when I was a kid. I grew up with a dad who worked out. My mom did what she could, with two kids. So my brother played sports. I rode horses. So just being active was something that was part of our family.
Right.
And then sort of fast forward into my 20s, I picked up running, and I ran a few marathons in my 20s. And during this, and I got the running of the marathons just got me like super interested in the body and the way it operates and what food does to it and what it, negatively and positively. So
Yep.
that got me into personal training. I did that for a little while, and my running just kept going, and I got into lifting weights and things like that as well. So my progression in this wellness journey was just very slow, and I never really used it as a full-time job. Never really thought I could. It was just always sort of a hobby.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then I developed athletic bulimia in my 20s, with all
Mm-hmm.
the running,
Mm-hmm.
and from that became hypoglycemic. So here I'm seeing how food can, what we can do to our bodies in sort of a negative way. And
Right.
with working with a dietitian one-on-one, she helped me to regulate my blood sugars and got me back, living again.
Yep.
And that was another eye-opening moment for me with food and just what it can do. And then I got into my 30s, and I was having one running injury after the other after the other. I went into a depression from my first injury, gained 30 pounds on my negative zero sized body, which was
Oh,
huge. So again, here I'm seeing, just how easily it is to slip into a depression, and just again what food does to you.
right.
So, and I did become at this time in my 30s a school teacher, and I was teaching. I taught like second grade, fourth, and fifth. During this time, like all teachers, I'm super stressed. I kept pushing sleep off. It was like the last thing I did because I had so much I wanted to put into my day. So I'm exhausted, constantly bloated, and mysteriously, I developed a rash, went from my knees to my ankles.
Hmm.
Ugly, painful.
Oh,
Um, yeah. So, um, yeah, but during this time, this is when I became a yoga and Pilates instructor, and I did that sort of as a side gig. And I also worked with the office ladies at school. And one day we did yoga, and another day we lifted weights together. And I'll never forget that one of the ladies was like, "Martha, you light up when you work with us, doing weights and stuff. That we don't see you in the classroom like lighting up like this." So
mm-hmm.
that was sort of like
Oh,
moment.
yes.
And I decided to walk away from teaching after 8 years, and that was in
Oh, wow.
2016. Yeah, I took the
Mm-hmm.
plunge. I was living by myself. I have no kids, so I thought this is the time. I mean, you never know what a year
Like
might do.
risk taking, you can like afford to take risks.
I can. I mean, it was just myself, so that's all. All I had to mess up is just me. Not no one else was relying on me. And so I did it, and in 2017, I graduated from IIN, and then just in February, I passed my board. So that's kind of my
Oh,
journey.
that's nice. That's really inspiring. Like the whole the trajectory of events and how you like kind of were building on your skills and
Yes.
like how you kind of rediscovered it yourself, and then you thought
Yeah.
of like really taking up health and wellness as something which you can use for empowering others. So that's really great. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing.
Oh, thank you.
Next question was like, what according to you are the pillars for a healthy lifestyle? So what are the things that you really stand by, like these should be
Yeah.
followed?
Um, you asked me that, and I always think of four, but then I added a fifth one.
That's fine.
But it's I really believe it's really the pillars. It all boils down to this: is movement, intake, so diet, stress, of course, sleep, and then I would add relationships to that,
Mm-hmm.
which I think we're really seeing right now in this crazy pandemic time, just how important staying connected with people are.
Yes.
So yeah, I
Yeah,
think
like
those are sort
social
of
connections and everything around it. Yep. Yep. Those, yeah, actually, like when we think of health, the first thing that comes to our mind is always like food, right? It's all about nutrition and what you're eating, how you're eating. Is it organic or like no sugar, all that kind of thing. But
right.
very rarely, like we generally think of, like you said, social connections, and there is exercise, of course, and then there's sleep, which is like the
Yeah.
most neglected most often. So yes. So yeah, talking about sleep. So how important is sleep? Like you would say, like in general, we all know like we need to have like a good deeper sleep to feel that refreshed and rejuvenated in the morning. So if you could tell us more about like how can we have more of that deep sleep and how important is that?
Yeah. It's funny, you just said it, that sleep is kind of one we don't really think about. And I even said it, and it's kind of in my 30s, I was just pushing it away. Like it's the last thing. And I think so many people feel that way. Like, oh, I'll have my retirement years, or when I die, I can sleep all I
Yeah,
want.
like sleep is a waste of time, kind of most
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
feel that.
Yeah. If we're not moving, we're not being productive, then, what are we doing? Sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you can do that later. Like, yeah, it's not important, but it really is. It is the most important thing, because if you're not getting enough sleep, it's going to impact your diet. You're going to probably eat more and go for the more of the comforting foods. You're super tired, so you might go for the caffeine and sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And then so a lot of times the waistline gets bigger, and even becoming diabetic could be a thing, and so
Yeah.
on and so on. But yeah, I really think it's just that boiling down to that sleep routine, getting good sleep hygiene. So setting a bedtime routine that we often give kids, but then when we become adults, we're just like, we kind of
Yeah, we
push
sleep
that
like
bedtime
whenever
routine.
we want.
Yeah. But really, I mean, everybody needs a bedtime routine. And I think, getting back to wanting that deep, rejuvenating sleep, that's the key, is adhering to that, which is really in line with your circadian rhythms, and honoring that, the rhythm that we all have in our bodies, that internal clock. And knowing when your body is ready to go to sleep, and honoring that and going to sleep, and staying away from the blue lights, electronics, and then waking up in the morning, getting a lot of sunlight, getting that cortisol flowing, just to do
Oh
it
yes,
again the next
sunlight.
day.
Yes, yeah, it's really crucial, right? Like especially now when during the COVID times when you're like staying indoors so much that you
Yeah.
really miss out on all the like the good summer sun that we would otherwise would have been enjoying. But like I said, like maybe we just like step out for some time and get that sun and that vitamin D and everything. So it helps with the sleep too, right? And
Yes.
like in the
Yeah,
evening.
for sure. Getting connected to, I mean, because it's really, it's like that fake lighting that we have in our houses, that kind of messes us up. Prior to indoor lighting, all we had was the sun to go by, and
Yes.
when the sun went down, we had
Yeah.
candles, but
Yep.
it was very dim lighting, and then we went
Yeah.
to bed. But now you can make your house as bright as you want any
Right.
time of the day.
Yep.
And that just, it messes with our clocks. So
Yes. Yeah. True,
dimming,
true, very
dimmer
true.
lights.
Yeah, more dimmer lights, yes, that could be
Yeah.
something too. Are also yoga instructor, right? So how has yoga really impacted your life? So what are the changes that you kind of observed after you started practicing yoga?
Yeah, good question. I was thinking about this, and there's so many wonderful things. So I've been an instructor. Well, I've been practicing since 2004, and an instructor, I think, since 2011.
Mm-hmm.
But the obvious, as a runner and just a very big into working out, it provides a really good stretch for me. Um, but it's also taught me to breathe. So when I do go to sleep, I am able to shut my mind off and
Mm-hmm.
literally just breathe and get myself to sleep. I happen to be dating and living with an insomniac. And so to sit there and explain to him, he's like, Martha, you really just simply breathe and all of a sudden you're asleep?
Yes.
I'm like, yes. So he'll try it and he gets like this, to get all tight and tense, and he's trying, and but I
Yeah.
really do believe that's like the consistent yoga practice. It teaches you to shut your mind off and to relax your body, and not allow to have the news and everything else that's going on in the day to kind of
Right.
infiltrate your mind, but able to push it out. So, and another thing that it's taught me to really listen to my body.
Mm-hmm.
And another, it's a great benefit as a runner, because I can notice when I'm getting those little aches and pains, or I need to stretch in this area or that.
Yeah,
um,
that's a really good point actually that you mentioned, like listening to the body. That's like so crucial, right? Like even when it comes
oh
to like we don't really give a thought to it, like listening to our, like even like for breathing, like you mentioned, nobody, it's just like happening. We don't really even think of it. And
yeah,
it's like so important when it comes to like even when you're like having your meals, listening to your body, knowing when you're full, when you're not full, like that
yes, yeah,
this it's such a, I mean, once you listen to your body, it's like it's an open ground, I would say. You know so much more about your body when you
yeah,
start listening to your body, and that really
yeah, for
helps
sure.
when it comes to like having a more healthy life, or if you're on that journey to have a more healthy life.
Yes, exactly. There's a saying that's like, um or something about like, I'm not waiting for your body to start screaming,
Yes.
but listening to it when it's whispering.
Right. Yeah. So true. Yeah. Interesting.
I
Yep.
think so
Yep. Yep.
often we wait for
Yes.
our bodies to scream. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's nice. So yeah. So everybody out there, I mean, give it a try if you haven't ventured into yoga. Give it a try at least. And I'm sure I haven't seen anybody who said like yoga hasn't worked for me, or this something bad has happened because I practiced yoga. So it's something
Right.
that you should really try and like reap the benefits out of it.
Yes, for sure. And I would say at least try it 3 times.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Don't get discouraged by the first time, because I know it's going to be
Yeah.
really difficult with like the slow pace of things that it has, and then people may not be interested. Somebody who likes like musical or the Zumba kind of stuff, they may
Yes.
find it a bit boring and like, oh, okay, you have to sit and meditate and do breathing, focus, mindfulness. All those things can be really overwhelming at first. But
Right.
yeah, like get a good instructor and go through the whole process. So that would really
Yeah. And the style of yoga. I mean, maybe the gentle or renew is not your thing, but power is. So
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. Other thing you mentioned was about the movement part of it. So, what do you generally suggest to somebody who's not so much into exercising, or who you want to like? I'm sure you must have come across those clients who are like, okay, they're not exercising, but you want them to like kind of start exercising. So, how do you motivate them? How do you start off?
yeah, so there's several questions I would encourage, like if you're listening and you're not motivated into exercising, yeah, a few questions I would start off asking yourself, like, getting to know you as an exerciser. Do you think working with a group would get you motivated? Do you need a friend? Are you a sort of a solo person?
Mhm.
Do you think AM exercising would be better for you, or PM?
Right.
Are you like a gym person, or do you need to work out at home? So
Mm-hmm.
kind of figuring out, and it might take a time for you to like try all different things. But I think if you're not really a gym person, but you're kind of forcing yourself to go to the gym, that might be like, oh, you're waking up in the
Yeah.
morning, like, oh, I have to go to the gym.
It becomes like a chore, right? You're like, oh no, I don't want
Yeah.
to do it just because my instructor is pushing me. I have to go and show up and get all those weightlifting done.
Yeah, and there's so many other ways. I mean, in this COVID, I mean, people have been forced to find other ways.
Yes.
And I mean, YouTube is just a plethora of exercises and workouts. In my community, we have F3 and FIA, which is a Christian-based organization where it's like a group, like men are the F3, and then they have FIA for women, and they get together in our downtown area 3 days a week, and
Oh,
they
nice.
work out together, and it's just a
Mm-hmm.
variety of different exercises. So
Wow.
yeah, I would explore all these different ways to exercise. You know, and sometimes it might take you thinking about what did you enjoy as a kid and getting back to that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, you know, maybe that would motivate you. But once you figure out all that, I would say just start small. I think the biggest mistake people make is they just gung ho and go for it every day of the week, you know, and
Yeah.
that first day that they don't make it, that, you know, their confidence goes down. You know, the next day it's
Mm-hmm.
harder to get back into the groove.
Yes.
Now they feel like they've let themselves down or the other people involved. So I would definitely start out small, and then you can always build up as,
Yeah,
you know,
true. Question was about you work a lot with seniors, right? So what kind of challenges uh, that you have observed, like working with them, and what would be your suggestions to somebody like on the younger side? What are the things that we should be taking care of now so that we can kind of delay or kind of procrastinate the kind of issues that come up with old age? And if you could tell us something about that.
yeah. I think sort of a big thing is, and you know, I work with mainly women nearing retirement, if not all the way fully in retirement. So I would
Mm-hmm.
say 50
50
plus.
plus. Mm-hmm.
You know, I have worked with some women that are entrepreneurs and they work at home, but it's generally in that upper age range that I work with. And I would say, you know, and this is mainly sort of baby boomers. So they're coming from a generation that I don't think working out, especially as women, was a real big thing. I don't think the
Right.
gyms were like a thing
Yeah.
people did. So I think earlier generations coming up are probably going to have an easier time as long as they're kind of getting that gym routine going down or that exercise routine going down early.
Mm-hmm.
I think women in their 50s and plus, it's getting them to lift weights 2 days a week at least, minimum. I think,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so many are like, well, I'm walking, I'm doing yoga, I ride my bike. But, you know, you hit menopause, and as the older we get with women, we tend to put our weight right in the center.
Right.
Um, and so the biggest thing I hear is like, Martha, how do I get rid of this?
Yeah, even I hear that a lot. I'm like, it's, and I guess women biologically, you tend to put a lot of fat around like the hips and like the middle portion, like
Yeah,
you said, and 50
yeah.
plus, I guess it's with menopause, I think things really change a lot.
Yes, yeah, for sure. And I think that just adding the weights twice a week minimum can help with boosting metabolism, burning calories, and this and that. So I
Okay.
would say that's kind of a big thing I've seen. I go back to the sleep.
Yes.
You know, as adults, we're sort of on a schedule, working, it puts us there, or having kids and things like that. But then when we get into retirement age, we're like, oh, it's freedom.
Yeah.
You know, or they're traveling, or you know, there's just they want to stay up late, they're going out and eating with friends. I mean, it's
Right.
just no really schedule. And so that's where a lot of sleep issues tend to come or
Mm-hmm.
start to emerge.
Right.
um, and menopause can mess up sleep, and sometimes women don't
Yes.
get that sleep back.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
would say definitely working on that sleep routine, especially leading up to menopause, because I think once you
okay.
have that routine during menopause, it might not cure everything, but I think
Yeah.
it will help.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. Yes.
yeah, and then I think, you know, this might not be necessarily a 50 plus thing. I mean, I think this is really just everybody thing, but I
Yes.
would say cooking at home too. And I think especially as we get into retirement, you know, again, that
Mm-hmm.
freedom, it goes back to that. So maybe we're eating out a lot more.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so
Yeah.
I think just getting in that routine of cooking at home. And sometimes I think as we get into retirement, our kids are gone. and we're
Yeah.
probably so sick and tired of cooking.
Right. And then you'd be like, oh, just for one or two people what to cook, I'll just grab something and then just finish it
Yeah.
off rather than, making like a whole meal. But like you mentioned, like really indulge. And I guess home cook is more of a ritual, right? It's not just like cooking itself. It could give you a lot of, it's kind of a meditation for some people also.
Yeah.
So
And it could be a
really helps.
creative outlet.
Yes.
So, maybe and women are getting into that age where they might become widowers too. So now they're down to
Yeah.
cooking for one.
Yes.
And that can be a huge change after cooking for a huge family. And now it's like, ugh, what do I do?
Yeah.
And it's no fun. I mean, I've been there. We all been probably cooking for just
Mm-hmm.
ourselves.
Yes.
So I would say that's probably another challenge. But
Yeah.
I think it's also a challenge with the younger age groups too.
Yes.
I think just as a society, we like to eat out a lot.
Yeah, more of home cooking is really needed. I guess
Yeah.
that's one positive thing I could kind of see with COVID. It's more of home
Yes.
cooking that's happening. So
Yes.
which
Yeah, for
is good in
sure.
a way. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Good point.
so you have anything, I mean, that brings back me. I was just looking through your website. You have a lot of good food pictures there. So if you could give our viewers like some quick recipe that you like making, especially when you're like busy or on the go, there are meetings back to back, something like healthy and quick, some
Yeah.
recipe that if you could share with us.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I was like, oh gosh, sharing a recipe. But I think really the Greek salad, you can't go wrong, especially this time of year. Because I love eating seasonally. So it's, tomatoes, cucumber, everything that's in season,
Mm-hmm.
putting the chickpeas in. So even
Right.
if you're a vegetarian, you could, you
The
don't necessarily have
proteins that, yep.
to put the chicken
Mm-hmm.
in. And black olive is so good for you. And you can make this in feta cheese, or not, because I know dairy is kind of questionable, but a good
Yeah.
quality feta. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but you can put that over quinoa, brown rice. You could do it with whole wheat pasta, or even like zucchini noodles,
Oh,
or
nice. Yep.
I mean, it's really just an endless possibility of things that you could add in.
Yeah, that sounds really yummy though. It's so much. I'm sure it must be looking like so colorful and with a
Right? Yeah.
variety of flavors and everything going in.
Right. Exactly. Super easy.
Oh, nice. Good. I'm going to try that. Cool. So as we wrap up, what would be your advice to people watching the show, like especially around this COVID chaos? So any advice or tips that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, I guess I would say just watching the intake of the news. I think that's the biggest thing. I've heard so many people like, I don't know. I mean, you hop on Facebook and it's just
Yes.
everyone's at each other's throat debating, and politics is being thrown in, and
Yeah.
I mean it's awful. So I would say if you are finding yourself on social media a whole lot, you're watching the news a lot, is
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of like doing a detox of social media news. So maybe minimizing it to just the morning, giving yourself a time period in the morning, and then just
Mm-hmm.
being done with it the rest of the day.
Right.
And everything else is just continuing to, work out and eat healthy, and making sure you're getting sleep, and doing something for stress management. And finally, you just kind of mentioned, I think in this whole interview, we've mentioned a few things that, because of COVID, now we're seeing, cooking at home, it's helping us to do
Yeah.
that. So there's been so many blessings that
Yep.
I've seen
True.
personally coming out of COVID. So I think it's really just having that mind shift, not really
Mm-hmm.
getting drugged down by, like I can't do this or I can't do that. Or,
Yeah.
I mean, I know right now a big stressor for parents is the whole school thing. And I
Yes.
get that. It's got to be a huge thing to weigh on you to think about that. But
Yep.
just constantly just trying to think of the positives and
Right.
concentrate on that.
Yeah, having a positive mindset would really help because, and
Yeah.
again, like realizing it's something. I mean, things are going to change, so you don't really get and feel that anxious or stressed out for like no reason. Try and take hold of the situation, whatever resources you have, whatever things you have at hand. So like make good use of the time that you have.
Right.
So that way, it should be something really helpful.
Yeah.
Cool. So thank you so much, Martha. It's
This is
been
great.
a lot of valuable information that you shared with us today. And I'm sure our viewers must have really enjoyed this conversation. And before we depart, you would like to tell us anything about your like any upcoming programs that you're doing through your company and anything that you would want people to know.
Yeah, I'm currently writing a course on sleep, so I will be pushing that out soon. And
Nice.
yeah, I'm excited about that. I've got a few more courses coming through that I'm working on. I think the school teacher in me enjoys
Yeah.
Canva and putting curriculum together. Another blessing of COVID. So yeah, I'll do that. Just check in my website, marthamcduff.com, and I've got some great recipes on there, and I'll get information about my courses on that as well.
Cool. Great. That's really nice. I'll be also giving in your website details in the video description.
Okay, awesome.
So check out and visit our website and get to know about all the upcoming courses and the recipes. Of course, they're great. So
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Martha, once again.
Yeah.
Have a good day and stay safe. And we'll catch up soon.
Thanks. You too.
Yep.
Enjoyed meeting you.
Yep. Great.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching, and for more videos on healthy living, don't forget to subscribe.